Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video. I did one quite a while ago, so this is my Q&A 2. And so yeah, let's get started. Let's jump into some questions. All right, so we'll start out with a couple obvious things before we get into the questions, just in case you're new to my channel, since it's been quite a while since I did my first Q&A video and I know my channel's grown. Anyhow, I'm Rebecca Shores. Obviously, you can probably guess that from the title of my channel. I am a makeup artist, but I am formally trained as actually a fine artist, but I got into makeup kind of a little bit later. And yeah, I do YouTube, I have a blog, Instagram, I also have another part-time job, I'm a wife, I live in Seattle, graduated from the University of Oregon. You can always ask me a question down below if you're interested in anything else. So we're going to jump into the questions. I have them here on my phone, so I'm going to be reading those off. So apologies ahead of time if I say your name wrong. So Rebecca Milroy, MUA, asks, what are your favorite brushes? So I have quite a few brushes. I'm kind of like looking at what I have, but I'll tell you my favorites real quick. I'm going to go with these are my absolute favorite brushes. So Hakuhodo is definitely my favorite brush brand. Out of the brushes I've tried, they're the most beautiful brushes, softest, blends so easily. So Hakuhodo is probably my favorite brand. This is the Hakuhodo B5521, and this I love for applying blush, applying ambient lighting powders all over my face. I really like it for highlighting. It's just really soft and blends flawlessly. One of my favorite brushes, hands down. I have two more blending brushes by Hakuhodo. They're basically a larger and smaller version. And this is the J5522 and this is the J142. Yeah, J142. Really love both of these. I use them for blending out eyeshadows. Another Hakuhodo. This does not have a number on it. I don't know what it is, but it's basically a really small, like, filbert brush, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love this brush. I like it for putting color under the lower lash line. This is the Sigma E45. I really like this because it's great for placing color into the crease area and it's not like super huge. A MAC 239, I really like this for placing color on the actual like eyelid. I really like it for highlighting, and it's basically my favorite for the brow bone because I find that you can just get right underneath your brow and drag it down. So love that brush. And lastly, the Sigma Angled Brow. This is the E75, and this is just really stiff and very thin, which is what I like in a brow brush. So I would say at this moment, because that changes depending on what kind of makeup I'm wearing, at this moment, those are my favorite brushes. So next question is by Makeup by Zinam, and she asks, how did you discover your passion for makeup? I would say my passion for makeup stems basically just because I have a passion for art in general. I love to create. Being able to create something new and express myself is something that really brings me joy. So I find that makeup was just another channel for me to create in. Kayla Hege asks, what's a typical day in the life of Rebecca when you're not filming / working on blog posts, etc.? So I do spend a lot of time working on blog posts and filming and whatnot. I also have a part-time job with a blogging network, so I kind of do their administrative tasks. So that ends up taking up a lot of my week. My total like working hours are probably around 50. So I do spend a lot of time on that. But when I do have free time and kind of wrap up my work and put things away, I spend a lot of time with my husband because obviously he's also working a lot. So when we get the chance to basically spend time together and we're not working, then that's great. I also love to cook. We have a farm box, like a CSA, which is community supported agriculture. So we get local produce from a farm here in Washington, and that's really great because now I'm getting to cook things that are new and also in season. So we really like that since we've been trying to eat a lot healthier. I really like going to get coffee and tea or trying new ones at home. I really like being creative in general, so I've been working on my calligraphy skills and I've been just doodling and drawing. Sometimes that also means working on illustrations for upcoming blog posts, which is something I'm kind of working on the side. I like hanging out with my husband in general. A lot of times we either go explore and do something new in the Seattle area. We've been going running. We play ARAMs, which is like a gameplay type in League of Legends. But yeah, that's basically what I do. I like a lot of things and try to do them when I'm not busy. The next question is from OneDeers13, and they ask, will we see more artistic creative tutorials on YouTube? I love the look that's your profile picture on here. It makes you so much more unique than a lot of other MUAs on YouTube. And what other indie brands do you like? Yeah, that's definitely something that I would be really interested in doing. I actually filmed that look. If you don't know, it's my Pacific Northwest inspired look is my current Instagram profile picture. And I actually filmed that. I'm working on editing that now. I was waiting until I was a little more comfortable editing with Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what my newer videos are starting to be edited in. So that is in the process of being edited and me trying to figure out if I'm gonna more just talk about my creative process or kind of do a ish tutorial. So creative tutorials are coming, and if you guys like them, I'm happy to do more. They won't be as much tutorials as more it will kind of be explaining what I'm doing. Since a lot of my creative looks, I basically just go, okay, I want to create this, and then I just kind of go for it. And a lot of times I have really no idea what I'm doing. They also asked what my favorite indie brand is, and so for eyeshadows, we're probably gonna have to talk about Saucebox because let's be real, I have a lot of Saucebox shadows and I love them. Another indie company I've really been liking that I have a review coming up on are Blackbird Cosmetics. And right here, these are their pressed shadows, and I've really been liking them. They're incredibly pigmented and they're really creamy mattes. They don't seem to have any shimmers, but if you're into mattes, then that's great. This isn't in like a palette, so it's not as easy to hold. I also really like Strobe Cosmetics. They have really nice pressed shadows. They also have nice loose shadows as well. I'm just more drawn to pressed shadows and Rhapsody, and then I also have Gleaming Gardenia, but I don't know what I did with that because I like used it recently and threw it somewhere. But I really like their pressed shadows. Another indie brand I like is Pretty Zombie for their liquid lipsticks. Mobile Makeovers asked, do you find it harder to apply makeup to other people than on yourself? Yes and no. In ways, it's easier because I'm so used to like painting on a canvas or something where I'm not painting this way, I'm painting that way. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not painting like towards myself, I'm painting away. So I find that this feels a lot more natural to paint with. And then you also can use a little more of kind of like, not just this, you can use your arm a little bit more than I'm able to do this way, just because I don't have the range of motion when I'm basically makeuping myself. That being said, models that are either kind of distracted by a phone looking down or people that just can't keep their eyes open or shut or something, then it becomes a little bit harder because it's just hard to do something on someone else's face when they're moving. So I'd say in general, yes, if they can hold still. Anna Maltez asked, do you have a boyfriend? I had a boyfriend that's leveled up twice because now he's my husband. I'm married to my husband, Jeff, so he was my boyfriend, my very first boyfriend, but he is now my husband. We've been married for 4 years. Nastia Wild asks, what was your first makeup product you ever bought and how old were you? I don't know like the brand or the color, but it was a just neutral colored lipstick and I was 10. Victoria Rose Makeup asks, what do you think is the most effective and most fun way to interact with your followers? So I'd say Twitter probably because it's easy to get back to people and I'll just hear it on my phone, be able to chat back with you. But I really like Snapchat and Periscope. Periscope is really fun because it's like live streaming. If you don't have me on Periscope, I'm Rebecca Shores MUA, but then you can't talk back to me and I feel a little bit awkward, but it's pretty fun. So Snapchat would probably be my favorite, maybe not most effective, but probably my favorite to interact with people. Because with Snapchat, I can send a picture and like post it to my timeline or send it directly to someone, and then people can show me like their makeup looks back, and then we can like chat and talk. Like I don't really feel comfortable just, you know, giving out my phone number or something, but if we can like text on Snapchat and like talk to people, and I really like interacting with you guys. So I'd say Snapchat's my favorite, personally. Twitter's maybe most effective. Sass Class Beauty, who I actually did meet, she lives in Utah. Best advice for getting your work out there, gaining followers / subscribers, booking clients, etc. So when it comes to the social media thing, I think consistency, which you're gonna hear basically from everyone, is key. I know that I started gaining a lot more of a following when I started posting basically every day. Like I challenged myself to be like, hey, post more often, and then try to post every day. I talked a bit with Sam from Battle Ash, and she's like, oh no, like post consistently, maybe try to do like 30 days of makeup, post every day, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that helps so much just because people expect to see your work and then they start being like, oh wait, she posted this. And it really helps just to be consistent. I also think it helps to have well-lit, high-quality photos. That doesn't mean that you need a whole like lighting setup and a really nice camera, but make sure that you're not just like taking a snapshot in your bathroom. Like maybe try to use the back part of your camera and maybe use a mirror or something and just stand in front of a window or something, because well-lit photos that can really showcase your makeup is really going to help. Gaining subscribers, so more kind of YouTube. YouTube I find is just a whole nother ball game. I still don't really effectively know how to gain subscribers on that. I just kind of promote it throughout my other social media channels, and I make sure that I'm interacting back with whoever comments on my videos, since if you're taking out the time to comment on my stuff, I should take the time out of my day to respond back to you. And then for clients and booking, it kind of depends on what kind of world you want to be in. If you want to be in bridal, then make sure that you're kind of talking to maybe florists or people that are wedding planners and stuff like that. If you're going to work with photographers and models and stuff like that, then start networking with those type of people. That is a whole kind of other ball game than social media, and you really have to find out what your niche is within the kind of makeup realm. Taylor Leah MUA asks, what's your current makeup obsession? Probably the Becca highlighter I got. I just really like it. It's really fun. I'm wearing it today. I wore it yesterday and the day before. It's just such a nice, not glittery highlight that still really catches the light. So I'd say that's probably my makeup obsession right now. In general, it's false eyelashes. Like I hate not wearing false eyelashes just because they just look so good. I love false eyelashes. Erica Shockley asks, best fixes for dark circles. I will link a video I did down below. So for dark circles, for long-term fixes, I don't really have an answer for you. That's going to depend on why you have dark circles. I have hereditary dark circles. I have light skin with just thin skin under my eyes, and my parents both have dark circles. So I'm not really getting rid of these. They're just kind of the way my face is. If your dark circles are caused by lack of sleep or allergies, then you can kind of try to address those concerns. So maybe try to get a little more sleep, get some allergy medicine. If you can figure out what actually causes your dark circles, that's great. If you're talking about kind of what can I do just to cover them up, one, drink a lot of water because you need your skin to be well hydrated and also have a moisturizer under your eyes. You don't necessarily need an eye cream, but make sure the skin under your eyes is well hydrated, because otherwise it's just going to look cakey and kind of a mess. So you do want to make sure that your skin under your eyes is well taken care of, whether it's an eye cream, a regular cream, a beauty oil, and making sure you're just drinking enough water in general. And then I would say use a corrector. So use a corrector that's basically the opposite color on the color wheel from whatever color you're finding in your dark circles. For example, if you have blue dark circles, then you're going to want to go anywhere from a peach to a true orange. You're going to go for more of the peach colors. If you have a fair skin tone, if you have a deeper skin tone, then you can go to the fully saturated orange color, because you want to cancel out the darkness before you put a concealer over it. So I would say hydrate well under your eyes, then you want to use a corrector and then apply a concealer over the top. So my favorites are the Pixie Brightening Peach with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and then I use the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder to set under my eyes. So the next question is from Pink and Inked, and she asks, what 3 makeup products could I not live without? So I just talked about dark circles and mine are really bad, so I would say definitely the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Chantilly, my number 1. Mascara would be number 2. And I would really want to say highlighter, but I think I'm going to have to go with a like taupe colored eyeshadow, because then I could use it as like a little bit of color on my eyes or contour and to fill in my brows. So it would be like one step fix all. So those would be my 3 items. Ikato Chromata asks, do you still do classical art or do you focus mainly on makeup nowadays? Would you share some of your artwork? Thanks. I do focus mostly on makeup nowadays. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty busy between this and my other job. So I don't have as much time as I would like to focus just on art, because a lot of times when I would focus on art, that's all I would do. When I was in college, I'd start school around like 8 a.m. and then I'd have class until like 3 or 4, and then I would stay in the studio sometimes even until like 4 a.m. It all kind of depended. But I was art constantly. That was like all I did. Nowadays, because makeup was a little more of a promotable skill, there's just wasn't a lot of people that were interested in buying artwork from me. While that would be something I would love to do. Like well, now that I've like made friends and like I have a following, I don't think I would just quit YouTube, but I would absolutely love to just have a studio and create art and be able to like pay my bills doing that. Like that would be amazing and one of my dreams, but right now it's not really reality, so I've kind of had to change gears. So yes, I spend a lot more time with makeup, but I do still try to at least draw daily. I'll show you something I've done recently. There, you can't really see it. It's not done, but like things like this, it's like that's something I'll work on for a couple hours and then I like let it sit on the easel. One thing I do is I do draw in a sketchbook. I set aside at least 15 to 20 minutes every day, and if I have more time, then I try to do at least like 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes later at the evening. And if I can start working into my schedule, I really want to get that up to an hour, but like I just have a sketchbook full of kind of like doodly things where it's like, okay, that day I drew a flower. It's not very interesting. Or here I was working on like calligraphy things. This day I was obviously not feeling creative because all I did was write scribbles. Or working on kind of logo design. Or this is like color theory stuff for actually a makeup tutorial. Then sometimes they're just like doodles and things that I'm thinking. So I do still keep a sketchbook, and that's something that's really important to me because I do find that creativity breeds creativity. So it's really important for me to have a kind of an outlet to doodle, draw something and try to keep creating. Not just with makeup, but also with fine arts. If you are interested in kind of the more creative side of things, I do have a kind of lifestyle creative blog and Instagram that I'm not as consistently uploading to, but when I feel inspired or when I have the time, I do upload to them, and that's Wandering in Color. So Wandering in Color started out as a project that me and my best friend were gonna do, and right now our lives get a little too busy where that's kind of on pause, but Wandering in Color is still kind of my not so structured creative outlet. Like for beauty blogging stuff, I post on a schedule, I always plan my stuff out, and it just becomes not unenjoyable, but it becomes more like work where it's like, okay, I need to do this for this and it needs to go by this time. When Wandering in Color is much more, I can do things when I want to and when I feel inspired. If you do want to see kind of sketchbook entries and my thoughts and some photography and things I've created, sometimes it's going to be more like cooking stuff, or it might be a photo of like a coffee and kind of little stories from my life. So you can follow me on Wandering in Color. My Instagram, I post pictures. They're all like high quality pictures. I don't just like post random crap. And then wanderingcolor.com doesn't have a lot of blog posts, but there's kind of like little thoughts here and there. Fletcher's mama asks, have you tried Manic Panic's white foundation? If so, what are your thoughts? I have tried it. Have it right here. I still am trying it out. I haven't tried it a whole lot, and I still have a couple foundations to try it with. I find that for the price, it's not a bad option. And if you're like, I need something that's cheap and that's gonna lighten my foundation, it does lighten your foundation and it's cheap. However, it's definitely not going to be like a winner in my book because it's really hard to mix. Like when you take this out, the pigments aren't very fine. So you get this and you mix it into foundation and you have to mix it really well. The other thing is if you look at how sheer it is, it doesn't actually have that much pigment, so I end up having to use a lot more of it, where it's like the same amount of the Illamasqua ones ends up being so much more white. So overall, I don't think that it's bad, it's just a lot more work, and I don't know if it's worth the money because I end up having to use more of it because of the low pigment count, and then it just kind of dilutes my foundations. So it's not my favorite, but it's pretty good if you don't have something else available to you. I really like this question. The Aftermark asks, if you could only wear one bright color for the rest of your life, would it be lime green? Never mind, I think we all know that that's yes. Real question, what did your high school makeup look like? So it probably would be lime green, but it depends on if we think bright orange is a bright color. My high school makeup kind of depends on what age we're talking about. In like, 14 MySpace days, it was pretty bad. I didn't wear lipstick at all. I did fill in my eyebrows. I wore mascara. I usually wore colored eyeliner. I'd always wear blush. And a lot of times I would have like a really extreme highlight on the inner corner, but not a lot of other shadow, which was kind of weird. Or I'd wear like brown smoky eyes, and the brown smoky eyes looked fine. Jenny Benny 96 asks, what highlighters would you recommend for pale skin? Any drugstore ones? So I don't have a drugstore one in particular that I've tried. If you want something subtle, the Reserve Your Cabana by Wet n Wild's really nice. But a lot of times for drugstore highlighters, I find that they're a little more on the chunky side. So it kind of depends on if you like the more glowy look or if you like a little more glitter. So for drugstore ones, I would just pick up like a shimmery eyeshadow, in all honesty, because I haven't found one. But at the same time, I don't own a whole lot of drugstore highlighters, so I don't have a ton of experience, so I might not be the best person to ask. But I would probably just end up with a drugstore like shimmery eyeshadow and go for that because I find that they're usually a little finer milled, which I prefer. Jess ZF asks, what photographic equipment do you use? How can we take good pictures of makeup looks? So if you guys would like a full video of kind of my setup, I can do that. I haven't got my setup completely finished because I do want to get a backdrop at some point, which I don't. Like right now I film against my window, so you're seeing some like trees. But I can do a full video on that if you're interested. So what my setup is for videos and most Instagram things is right now I'm filming on a Canon 70D. That is the camera I use. I also have a Nikon D5100, and that's something I don't really film on anymore, but I do use sometimes for photos. So Nikon D70 pretty much for every video that you've seen on my channel since like June or so. This is the camera I'm using, and most of my newer Instagram photos are also taken on this. I use a 50mm 1.4 lens, so that gives me a very nice look that doesn't distort my face as much as like a wider angle lens would. It also gives me the nice blurry background, which is what I love. I also have the kit lens for that, so that's just the normal like 18 to 55mm lens, and I film on that occasionally, but not usually. And then my lighting setup is I have a Diva ring light that's placed right in front of me, and then I also have 2 Lotus lamps, and that's from the DVE store, so they have like a set of those. I also have that Nikon D5100, which I have a 35mm lens, and then also the 18 to 55 kit lens. The 35mm lens I find is a lot better for kind of taking pictures in general. It does kind of distort your face, so it makes my face look skinnier than it actually is, just because of, lenses will do that. Laura Marie 100 asks, if you could collaborate with one company, which would it be, and what would your product be? That's really hard. I think if I collaborated with a company, I'd want to collaborate with NARS, because NARS and Make It Forever would probably be my favorite companies, like if we're talking about bigger companies, because they're great. If I was talking about smaller companies, I'd probably want to do either Saucebox or Makeup Geek. If I was to make something, I think I would end up making an eyeshadow palette because it's what I use the most, or I'd want to make like a really nice, like dark, like similar to this, like a dark lip that doesn't suck. Like so many dark. So I don't know how to pronounce this at all, but Quilizandria. What do you look to for inspiration when you're feeling otherwise uninspired? So this is kind of going to tie back to how I believe that creativity breeds creativity. So a lot of times if I'm feeling uninspired with makeup, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to work like physically drawing something where I don't have to think about the face. So I think it's kind of intimidating with a face, or if you have like a huge canvas, it's the same type of kind of feeling where it's hard because you have to work on something and then you're just kind of intimidated by that alone. So I will go back to a sketchbook and like doodle, or then if I'm still not really feeling anything after I've kind of like, you know, started feeling warmed up, then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna challenge myself. And I kind of talked about this in a video I did a long time ago called like What Inspires Me, and I really need to make another one of those videos where I'll kind of call back to my art school days. So in school, a lot of times we'd either get a very broad thing where it was like, okay, you need to do this, and you just, basically it's so much freedom and you just have to create. And then other times you'd be put in this tiny little box and then you'd be like, okay, you have to create something within these parameters. So a lot of times I'll build myself either those small little boxes or give myself one word and kind of describe it. So and then maybe I'll do something really specific, but something that's very abstract. So I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna do a look, like the Pacific Northwest look was, how can I express through makeup the way that summer feels to me, where that's like a very abstract concept. So it's like, okay, what does summer smell like to me? What do I love about summer? When I think about the feeling of summer, what visuals do I think about? And for me, it was like, oh, well, I really like in the Pacific Northwest, like we have a lot of trees and stuff, and you see that dappled sunlight through the trees, and then it comes and looks all pretty down and it almost looks like sparkles down below. And so it's like, those are the kind of ideas that I start with, and I just go for it. So like my dad would say, think big, edit later. And I think that that's a big thing where if you're feeling uninspired, either create yourself a box and create within it, or just think big. Like go write some words down, or go take some crayons and just play with colors and find new color combinations, but just try something new out of the box, and maybe that's out of your comfort zone, and push the boundaries and really kind of work that creative muscle. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you on those. If you want to follow me kind of around the web, rebeccashoresmua.com is my blog, rebeccashoresmua is my Instagram, and I'm rebeccashoresmua also on Periscope. And then I'm RK Shores on Twitter and Snapchat. Also, like I mentioned earlier, if you do kind of want to do more, get to know Rebecca rather than just beauty blogger Rebecca, you can follow my personal Instagram, which then you'll just kind of see crappy snapshots, and that's just RK Shores on Instagram. Or you can follow me on Wandering in Color and wanderingin.color.com, where that's kind of my more creative outlets if you're interested. Anyhow, I hope to see you guys on the next video, and thanks so much for watching.